Hi, this is Andrea Odom, and this is video discussion week 3, historical literacy. This week I studied George Washington for my presentation proposal, and I wanted to focus on a specific aspect of his leadership, which was the Culper spy ring in the Revolution. A lot of Americans in my presentation info proposal the intro to my group, I would tell them that Washington, a lot of people realize he was the commander of the Continental Army in the Revolution. He was our first president. Washington, D.C. is named after him. But a lot of people don't realize that part of his leadership included this very vital Culper spy ring that allowed us to monitor British troop movements and strategy in the war that helped us have an advantage and win the Revolution. So in my presentation introduction, my group would be a presentation at our Veterans History Museum of the Carolinas in my town, Brevard, North Carolina. And it would ideally be to school groups, middle and high school groups that maybe were on a field trip to the museum. This could be like a special presentation while they were there. The museum has information about all the different wars and a lot of local history, so it's a great resource for our community. And in my presentation intro, I would say George Washington is well known to Americans as our Revolutionary General, first president, Capitol's namesake, and according to the new Young Washington movie, the savior of the French and Indian War. But when you consider the impressive contributions that George Washington made to the founding of our nation, does facilitator of a spy ring come to mind? Most Americans probably don't realize that his Culper spy ring, operating in New York City in the American Revolution, helped secure an American victory over the British. The spy ring was named after Samuel Culper, the name assumed by Abraham Woodhull, with other members of the ring including Robert Townsend, Samuel Culper Jr., and Benjamin Talmadge, John Bolton. The Culper spy ring would operate using invisible ink, also called white ink, secret codes, and aliases to spy on the British. They reported on the movements of British ships and troops. The spy ring even included a woman named Anna Strong. Evidence including original spy letters, code books, and handwritten ledgers exist as proof of this vital intelligence that helped the Patriots secure a victory in the War for Independence. And I used the American Imprints resource. There's many of the George Washington papers in American Historical Imprints in the database. I also found a couple of good books that in my presentation I would suggest as additional reading to the participants. One of them is called George Washington's Secret Six, The Spy Ring That Saved the American Revolution. And another one is by a man named Alexander Rose, Washington Spies, the story of America's first spy ring. Another thing in the presentation that I would focus on, there's a specific exhibit that is in the Library of Congress right now. It's called The Two Georges, Parallel Lives in the Age of Revolution. And in that, I found quite a few of the documents, examples of like the ledgers, the handwritten ledgers from the spy ring, spy letters. You can get some of the idea of how they were using the invisible ink. And it just had several of the actual documents that they could examine of the primary documents while they were there at the presentation. The presentation will probably be ideally about 45 minutes, and that would allow people to also look at the exhibits while they were there. Thank you.